好，我是拉瑙，欢迎收看一打看世界，一起看世界。去年爆发的乌俄战争，除了牵动全球地缘政治以外，也影响了全球的粮食供给。节目的一开始，我们就先带大家来到非洲，关心当地人民如何透过农业技术的改良，缓解粮食不足的危机。去年乌俄战争爆发之后，全球化学肥料的价格大幅上涨，影响许多农民的生计。不过，这也让许多农民选择改用在地生产的有机肥料，像是西非的贝南共和国，就是使用树叶、黄豆以及蝸牛壳制作的有机肥料。随着越来越多人采用这种肥料，不但可以提升作物的产量，防止土壤的退化，也达成环境保护以及增进粮食安全的效益。
农民忙着喷洒肥料，但是这位西非贝南的农民使用的并不是一般的化学肥料，而是用树叶、黄豆以及蝸牛壳碎片制造的有机肥料。他表示，使用有机肥料栽种的番茄，成熟后腐化速度比较慢，让他的收获更好。
La tomate a bien donné. J'ai trouvé plusieurs tomates plus que l'engrais chimique. Et en plus,la tomate a duré plus que l'engrais chimique. Parce que l'engrais chimique, dans quelques jours seulement, ça pourrit. Mais le produit à lion là, ça fait au moins 3 semaines avant de pourrir.
这种在贝南当地生产的有机肥料，最近越来越受欢迎，尤其是在去年乌俄战争爆发后。全球化学肥料的价格节节上升，许多较贫穷的农民已经无法负担肥料价格。不过，也让许多小型的在地有机肥料生产者提升产量，填补空缺。肥料商也表示，使用有机肥的作物往往品质更好，可以改善农民的生活。
Donc, vous n'êtes sans savoir qu'on est dans un contexte aujourd'hui où il y a la crise entre la Russie et l'Ukraine. Et donc, aujourd'hui, beaucoup de pays au sud du Sahara et même dans le monde ont du mal à accéder aux engrais. Donc ça, c'est un engrais qui est produit localement, qui est produit par des jeunes Africains, des jeunes Béninois, et donc qui facilite l'accessibilité. Et donc ça, c'est très important de le souligner quand on parle donc, un témoignage que les engrais qui ont été utilisés par nos producteurs, on a constaté que il y a eu une meilleure qualité de leurs produits récoltés pour le riz. Ce qui a fait même qu'ils ont pu vendre plus au-delà du prix qui était fixé sur le marché.
有机肥料制造商表示，这款肥料的营业额从2021到2022年已经成长了10倍。他们相信，随着越来越多农民采用这种肥料，不但可以提升农业产量，也可以防止土壤的退化，达成保护环境以及增进粮食安全的效益。记者陈忠欢、花嘉欣编译。
不止化肥价格上涨，乌俄战争开打至今超过1年，带给全球的影响在粮食方面尤为显著。以北非的摩洛哥为例，该国的粮食高度仰赖进口，自给率只有1%。在这种情况下，如果还遇到极端气候来搅局，导致谷物欠收，该如何因应？带您前往摩洛哥，一起来了解。
在谷类市场里，顾客研究价格，货比三家之后才下手。摩洛哥近几年来务农成本提高，且受到干旱影响，谷物欠收，市场不如以往热络。
بالنسبة للمصاريف طلعت عالدوق في الهكتار كان الهكتار كان يطلع عليه ب 5000 درهم خاص دابا تقريبا 10000 درهم باش يوجد غلاء الاسمده غلاء الادويه غلاء ديال الغازوال الفلاح ولا شويه من هذه الناحيه مضروب. اما بالنسبه للباحثين ما عندنا ما نقولوا بانهم كيوجدوا اصناف جديده واصناف اللي ممتازه بالفعل اللي عاونت الفلاح وهاد الاصناف هي اللي باقا شاده الفلاح شويه على باش يدير الفلاحه وما كل ما كانش هاد الاصناف الجديده كون الفلاح هاجر مشى بحاله سوا لان الاصناف القديمه ما كانش كتعطي شي منتوج.
去年的异常高温让摩洛哥谷物产量暴跌70%，更加仰赖进口。但是乌俄战争导致大小麦等主要粮食进口困难，先天体质不佳又遇上战乱，摩洛哥以改良品种来应付粮食危机。
We have developed varieties of wheat and barley that are more resilient to classical varieties. For example, in the year of drought,These varieties shows a yield of an improved yield of 30% compared to the other varieties, the old varieties. So with this improvement, we believe that we could face this challenge and address the issue of food sovereignty, and we will approach to this food sovereignty because Morocco, generally when there is these years of drought, we rely on importing cereals from other countries.
摩洛哥从2004年开始和 ICARDA， 也就是干燥地区农业研究国际中心合作培育新品种，已经获得认证的3个新品种被证实能在缺水的情况下确保产量不变，已经在意大利和西班牙等同为干旱所苦的国家推广种植。其实经过杂交改良的品种数量相当庞大，目前都存放在 ICARDA 的基因银行里，等待在适当的时机被种下，发挥效用。记者吴聘如、林柏宏编译。
继续留在非洲，现在家家户户都有现代化的冲水马桶，实在很难想象，像南非这样的富裕国家，出了城市可能就得用旱厕，也就是俗称的茅坑。会有这样的现况，是因为30年前的种族隔离政策限制了乡村发展。南非乡下至今还有3000多所学校洗手间没有现代化，连3岁的孩子都得使用危险的旱厕。
学童在老师的带领下前往旱厕，之后使用脸盆中的水洗手。在南非的乡间，依然有3000多所学校使用原始的旱厕，幼童跌落底部而死亡的消息时有所闻。
ene selongo ba tšere lena re bo tshwara sa bohumane re kwa botlhoko e re tshwanya gore tsweng re e bona mo TV a re iphine ka selo ka re ka moso ke rena a re ipsine shem。
2014年，男童 Michael 在如厕时跌落底部而死，震惊全国。当时南非政府承诺要全面汰换乡下学校的旱厕，但是10年来更新进度缓慢，让人怀疑政府根本无心处理。
government e kwane le rena gore di-toilet ka moka ba tla re dila di-toilet ka moka ke le gore di loketse bana ba banyana mara rile re lebelela ra kry-a gore di-toilet ke le gore di dirilwe ana mo gaufi le a bo Michael fela e re lebelela ka masiteng a mangwe bana ba ba sala ka ra koti nngwe e kgolo ye e le gore botsebotse a re nyako e bona gape。
今年3月，南非政府并没有兑现全面汰换的承诺，反而推迟完工进度到2025年。人权团体每半年追踪一次进度，同时也指出乡间缺乏建设，其实是因为过去的种族隔离政策。
This generational neglect speaks about how we perceive people in rural areas, right? I think what we're saying about them is they don't deserve dignity. That's why we're not going to provide you with a basic like a toilet.
在南非种族隔离期间，非裔族群只能住在贫穷的乡间。尽管这项政策已经在30年前走入历史，它所残留的负面影响却持续留在现代。记者吴聘如、林柏宏编译。
这段节目邀请到挪威萨米电视台执行长，同时也是世界原住民族广电联盟WITBN的盟友，来分享萨米族人运用媒体复振族语的经验。
他在他的Instagram上面发了一个限时动态，他就写说：“当原住民好累，我要去解释好多的问题，然后为什么我要加分？
国家教育改革增加人权及多元文化议题比例，却不减校园歧视案例的发生。族群的认识需要延伸到社会来推动。
其实要推全民原教，不止在学校，社区也要推。那学校里面的老师是核心人物，老师是我们首先要去推全民原教的一个很重要的东西。
我希望把跨文化理解这件事情变成跨文化行动。当我们开始行动之后，我们才有可能变成一个共同文化的生活方式。
如何建立社会共识，认识全民原教，也一起了解中部地区推动状况。请锁定6月22号晚间10点，云观点部落进行式。
台湾的陆地有60%被森林覆盖，现在有个概念叫做森林疗愈。森林的芬多精藏有什么秘密呢？
比较保守的，至少7到8成野外的量已经不见了。濒危物种很重要，就是希望它止跌回升嘛。
如何保住野外现存的龟，帮助它们重建族群呢？
飞出去啊！
因为我们现在的下一代真的，我觉得他们不知道什么叫做河，也不知道什么叫做溪。
让大家看说这条河的条件那么好，我们可以下来玩，只要把水弄干净，这就是变成全台北市最棒的一条河。
因为这些不同意的部落就被其他部落同意了。
如果部落世代赖以生存的溪流将被截断，生命可以延续；如果部落世代传承的猎场将被受限，文化何以延续？
小心遇上诈骗集团，以高额获利、稳赚不赔的口号鼓吹投资。
你期待的是好老师带你上天堂，是不是？事实上是那些老师利用你在上天堂。
如果接到陌生电话号码，自称是你的亲朋好友，要求你汇款给他，一定要提高警觉。
如果接到类似的电话，都欢迎利用24小时的165反诈骗专线查询。
Jabajabay Amapulia Tiranawaan. Welcome to Ida See the World. Today we are very honored and very happy to have our special guest who is from the very far north of Europe. He's Johan Ailo, the CEO of NRK Sápmi, and also is our supportive member and our friend of WITBN. And today he's going to share with us about how Sápmi media to use different platforms to promote and preserve Sápmi language and culture. So, bolas, Johan.
Bolas.
Bolas. First, can you say hi to our audience and briefly introduce yourself?
Bolas puhukt Taiwana alkoalmagat tällä hui sama seistön dikkide huuma ja lähtää ohpaas nuvat din almagin tällä myös hui sama ja anandan hui alvus ja valtandan rohtulottejan almag. I say hi, dear friends of the Taiwanese indigenous peoples. I'm honored to be here. It has been such a pleasure staying in Taiwan and your homelands. And I take back much values back to Sápmi when I return. And I have learned a lot about your peoples and cultures.
Thank you, Johan. And today you also wear your traditional clothing, Sápmi clothing, right? Can you introduce to us as well the meaning of the Sápmi clothing?
That's true. This is a traditional regalia which we wear for bigger occasions, and this particular wearing is marks that it's from my hometown, Godgeitno, which is in very far north of Europe, on the Norwegian side of the border. That's one of the few towns where the Sápmi culture is in majority. So this is what we're wearing when we want to be really nice.
Yeah, and you made it yourself, or it's made from your parents?
No, this is made from one of the town's duojar. We call the handicrafters for duojar. So she's the one who made that. I wouldn't have.
It takes very special.
Yeah, it's very special. It takes very much time to produce
How
one.
long? Like
It
usually?
would take, for her, it wouldn't take more than days. If I would do it, I would take years.
It's all handmade, right?
All handmade, yeah.
Wow. So is there any meaning of the pattern or the lines or the color?
Yeah, each family has its own pattern, so it has developed over time. So there are small details that will separate the different gaktis, or which we call this wearing in.
So in Sami culture, is there any like specific meaning of different color, like blue or red? Anything, any color that on the clothing?
Yeah, there is a meaning. The blue and the green and the yellow and the green. Those are the traditional colors that we use for everything. Green is, of course, like the nature, and yellow is the sun, and so forth.
And you also mentioned about your hometown. So are you growing up in your hometown? Yeah.
Yeah, I lived there until I was 16. Then I went to high school in a neighbor town. And after that, I went to universities. But I returned back to my hometown 8 years ago.
So you're growing up in the environments that is surrounded by Sami language?
Yeah. So in my hometown, everyone speaks the Sami language.
So how many population, or how many people that can speak Sami language in your hometown?
3,000 people live in my hometown. So, and altogether, there may be between 20 and 30,000 people speaking the Sami language.
Nowadays?
Nowadays, yeah.
So, and also, like Sami people, like you mentioned, there are different groups, right? And located in the different countries, like Finland, Norway, and Sweden, and also Russia, right? Can you share with us about the details of like distribution of like location of Sami people?
Yeah. Well, we're divided by 4 countries, as you say. The Samis live in Norway, Sweden, Finland, and even in Russia, the Kola Peninsula. In Norway, maybe half of the Samis live in Norway, maybe 10,000 in Sweden. Those are rough estimates because we don't have any official register over the Sami population. Maybe at 2,000 in Russia and 5,000 in Finland. Those are really rough estimates. So we're not quite sure how many people we are.
And in terms of the Sami language, is there also like dialects or different language within the Sami language? And how many?
Yeah, we have altogether we have 10 different languages from the south, South Samis, to Northern Samis and the Eastern Samis in Russia. So yeah.
But you still can communicate with each other.
No, we can't.
We can't.
So if I were to meet a South Sami, we wouldn't be able to communicate with Northern and Southern Sami. So they're really different.
Very different. Okay. And in the Sami region, how do you identify yourself? Like who has the right to define the Sami identity?
That's a tricky question. Yeah, and it causes a lot of debate. Well, we have our own Sami parliament.
Yes.
Both in Norway, Sweden, and Finland. Unfortunately, Russia doesn't have it.
Yeah.
In Norway, the definition to be able to have voting right for the parliament, you need to identify yourself as a Sami. And the second criteria is that one of your grandparents would have the Sami language as their home language, because, the Sami people has been subject to very harsh assimilation from the 1850s. And due to that policies, many Samis have lost their languages. So therefore, you need to go back some generations to be able to make some viable criteria.
So the Sami parliaments do have the rights to identify the Sami people?
Yeah, this has been subject to a lot of debate. So lately they have enforced stronger control over who is registered into the voting register.
So as we know that you are growing up in your hometown, and so we really would like to know that how do you build up your identity as being Sami people?
Well, myself, I was very lucky to grow up in Kuotugaino, which is where the Samis are in a great majority. So the Sami language was a natural part of wherever I went through the school system. Back home, we spoke the Sami language among my friends everywhere. Sadly, that is not the case for all Sami children.
Yes.
Many grow up in cities nowadays and grow up in communities where the assimilation process was way more tough than in my hometown. So many Samis have lost their language and are not in the same situation. Regarding to identity, I would say that that's a big question and a very complex question. It's not only linked to the language. We have many more other aspects of identity. So some are raised up in a reindeer herding family and still don't talk the Sami language and still feel a strong Sami identity. Others, they get their identity through other measures. That's a very personal question, and it's really different from person to person.
Yeah, it's kind of like a personal journey to find our identity. Yes, and I wonder that is there any like Sami language school? As you mentioned, language is one of the elements of building identity as a Sami people. So is there any like educational system to support younger generation to build up their identity?
Yeah, well, all Sami children have the right to get education in the Sami language in Norway in the elementary school and throughout up to high school. So that is a right they have. Sadly, that is not always followed up due to many reasons. Due to resources, there are not enough Sami teachers, not the financial restrictions, and so forth. So there is a lot that has to be done yet in order to revitalize the language.
And aside from the Sami language, how about the like traditional custom, like hunting, or like how a traditional way of cooking, or how do you like teach younger generation to do all this like traditional custom? It's based on family or school that can teach all this?
We would need many hours for me to describe that properly. But traditional knowledge that is connected not only to hunting, but reindeer herding, to fishing, to duchi, to handicraft, and all many aspects of life and traditional living. That is sometimes thought, traditionally was taught by the parents. Nowadays, you need to, we increasingly need to, that the school system takes responsibility, and many also take courses being adults and taking back aspects of the Sami culture. But that's also very personal. Depends on the person to what degree they want to learn their traditions.
So back to your position in the NRK Sápmi, and when you joined the NRK Sápmi?
I joined the NRK Sápmi in September 2021.
2021 as a CEO?
As a CEO, yeah.
Wow, impressive. And can you briefly introduce about the NRK Sápmi? Because in Taiwan we not quite familiar with this organization, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect people to be very familiar with NRK Sápmi.
But we really would like to know more about you.
Thank you. So NRK Sápmi is one of the oldest Sami institutions that we have. It was established in 1946, 1 year after World War II. So I often reflect that tells something about how important people feel about having their own media in their own language. That's really important for them. Currently, we're approximately 80 employees.
80.
Yeah, so we are broadcasting both TV and radio, and also have our own internet platforms, digital platforms. We produce content in 3 Sami languages, the Lula, the Southern and the Northern Sami languages. But it's also important for me to underline that we're part of NRK, which is the Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation, or the Norwegian answer to BBC, if you like. We're a separate division or an entity within that structure. So we,
Yeah, I mean your audience is not just limited in the Sami audience, right? And also includes non-Sami audience, right?
Yeah, most of the content is directly aimed at the Sami population because, well, non-Samis wouldn't, of course, not listen to Sami-speaking radio programs and so forth. But lately we have put more priority into programs that are broadcasted on the national platforms. For instance, the National Day celebration. That is a program that is broadcasted on NRK's NRK1, which is the far largest and most popular TV channel in all Norway. That program is broadcasted at 8 o'clock, which is prime time, reaching a big share of the Norwegian population. And that is important for us to create understanding for Sami people amongst also the majority.
So I would like to ask, did you encounter any technical or operational challenges in the NRK Sápmi? Well, because your audience is not just for Sami people, but also non-Sami people. So is there any challenges or struggles that you encounter?
Yeah, of course, when you produce content in the Sami language and is aiming to reach not only non-Sami people, but also the Sami population that for various reasons doesn't speak the Sami language due to the assimilation process, then we need to use we use subtitlings, we use dubbing in some instances to be able to build bridges between the Sami-speaking and the non-Sami-speaking audiences.
And also, and I would like to ask what kind of strategies to get in touch with the younger generation of young Sami people. Is there any strategy?
Yeah, that's something that most broadcasters, media, are struggling with nowadays. The younger generation, they have so many opportunities, so many choices they could choose among. We're facing the same global competition as everyone else from Netflix and Disney and all that. So we have the first thing that is most important for us is that the content that we produce has to stand out in the competition. The quality has to be as good as what you would expect from the global competitors. So then we have done a lot of insight in order to understand the younger people, and now we are also putting more effort into understanding children, because children are very important in order to preserve the language.
Yes.
So we have done a lot of
children's show.
Pardon?
Children's show.
Children's show, yeah. So we have done a lot of in-depth interviews to understand what is really important for the young Samis.
Yeah.
And that's you asked a question about us being on the national platforms, where the majority is. That's something that the young Samis said, that it is important that we take our place in the national platforms, and among them, so that our culture and our language is visible also for everyone else. Mm-hmm. It's not just hidden away on some less used platforms. Mm-hmm. And they also told us that because many Sami youth feel various that they are connected to the Sami culture in various degrees. Mm-hmm. And many feel that they are not good enough for the as a Sami. Mm-hmm. That they don't know the traditions well enough, that they don't know the language well enough. So hence they asked us or urged us to lower the threshold for participating part of Sami traditions, because that is important for them. So we did a lot of insight to understand what is important for them, and to be able to reach them in the most effective way.
Mm-hmm. That's what we also doing right now in the TITV as well.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and can you show us share with us about like your children's show, like Bina Banas?
Bina Banas, yeah.
Yeah, Bina Banas, or the series that you produce in Anak Sápmi?
Yeah, Bina Banas is a really popular character that we developed a few years ago. Mm-hmm. It's a small reindeer, or a reindeer calf, that speaks only Sami, but in both Lule Southern and North Sami, and it has been really popular among small children. So that's something that we put high priority to.
Mm-hmm. How about the series?
Yeah.
Is there any like movies or series that you produced for more like audience?
Yeah, we had made several TV series. The one that I showed yesterday was Förbannelsen, or the spell. So we were two characters traveling throughout Sápmi to find out different Sami myths and supernatural beliefs, you could say, that was hugely popular, not only among the Samis but also among the majority.
And also recently, you also work, Nake Sápmi also work with the ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, that was a funny example that I mentioned yesterday, that we have a young youth program that is published on YouTube, and they experimented with ChatGPT, to make an Easter song, and it produced this Easter song consisting of the keywords labu, which is a Sami kind of tent or teepee, snowmobile, and
And just like you mentioned, that Anake Sápmi is actually based on the headquarters is in the Norway, right? Norway. And I would like to know that whether you cooperate or collaborate with other region of Sápmi media, like in Finland or in Sweden.
Because since we are divided between many countries, then it's important for us to collaborate with both Sweden and Finland, yes, in order for us to stay united as one people.
Yes.
And hence we have a common news show, daily news show that is broadcasted in all three countries simultaneously. And we also have radio shows, and currently we are putting more and more effort into expanding that collaboration into the new digital platforms, and that's really important for us because, well, the being divided means that if we don't do that, we are afraid that we will develop three different identities connected to those countries, and we want to stay as one.
Yes, it's very important to break the national border.
It's really important, yeah.
Yeah, and thank you so much, and we will take a break and then back to the show.
你曾经对一件事情抱着先做再说的决心吗？我们的 CEO 就拥有这样的特质。
对有兴趣的事情，我算是不顾一切，
坚持下去，更多的期望跟希望实现这样子，加油！
如果我们不把旧部落找回来，或是这些东西记录下来，我们的原住民文化就是一直都在消失当中。
跟着哲金一起探索人类发现世界的最后一块拼图。
洪小传教授去量他的头颅，比对全世界的人种，小矮人的确在台湾住过。
一起发现南岛古文明的新价值。
因为人的不按照我们的约定，神发动了有毒性的这些动物来围攻布农族人，借着这个衣服的编织。 使百步蛇这个地理之气跟我们人的生命做结合，
旧部落位置跟地质敏感带的范围刚好都避开的。非工程手段、原住民的智慧、我们的科技结合在一起，我们一定会达到一个双赢。
拥有米田堡血型的人会有较佳的呼吸代谢以及耐力，其中阿美族有88%，几乎是世界第一。
7月1日起，每周六晚间10点，一起看见台湾，认识南岛。
Welcome back to Ita See the World. Last section, we know more about Anake Sápmi and also the Sápmi people in the far north of Europe. And Johan, this year you also joined the inputs and share your ideas and strategy of Anake Sápmi with other presenters in Taiwan and also in New Zealand, Fakata Moli, and also the Hakka television in Taiwan as well. So what is your feeling or what is your opinion about this session?
Well, it was The session was about languages and how indigenous peoples strive to take back the language, to strengthen the language. And what I learned, especially from the first session, we watched one episode of a Canadian TV series called Dear Flora,
yes.
which is about the harsh process of killing the Indian in the indigenous people of Canada through residential schools and stuff, and that was really touching. So and indigenous peoples have been through similar processes, assimilation processes globally, and that means that many have lost their languages and are taking it back through different kind of measures, and we do it in our way. Maori do it in another way, and you guys in Taiwan also work hard to do that, adapted to your audiences. And but that was so empowering to see that there's so much energy amongst the indigenous broadcasters, and they do so much, put so much effort into strengthening the language. And what I also see is that there is the indigenous pride is rising. There's more. We are very proud of who we are, and very conscious about our role and importance for our community. So that was really a good session for me. I learned a lot.
Yes, and I also watched the series as well, the Dear Flora, and it's very touching. And it just made me want to cry at that time. And you mentioned about the residential school and the boarding school. I wondered that is there similar like system assimilation happened in Sápmi region?
Yeah, you were not the only one crying in there.
Yeah.
I think we were all crying. That was so touching, right?
Yes.
We went through the same process in Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia as our Sámi people. And it's of course it's hard to compare, but the effects are very similar. That Sámi children were forbidden to use their languages in many parts of the Sámi land, and that also led to that many Sámis were ashamed of being a Sámi, that they were stigmatized. And many of them, because many hid their Sámi identity as well, and told they were not Sámis, because and that has led to many lots of suffering among many Sámis.
And I also know that as we know that Sweden government made a official apology to the Sámi people regarding to the boarding school. So is there any similar experience that happened in Norway or Finland as well?
Yeah. In Norway, the king made an apology in 1997, King Harald, and that was extremely important for the Sámi people, that the sufferings were recognized, and that he made that apology. But of course, an apology is only a first step towards something. You need action, and well. There are many opinions about those actions and the follow-up, so if they have been sufficient. But I feel that, nevertheless, I feel that there is a positive spirit that the Sámi culture is on the rise. And we have, in 1st of June, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. They've been working for many years. They will put their report forward. So that's another. I believe that's another milestone. In Finland, well, I'm not a really expert on Finland, but they're also going through the same procedures, and they have just recently put up their Truth and Reconciliation Commission that will have started work. So we will expect them to put forward their report in a few years, and the Finnish Church is also in a process of reconciliation. So there are many processes, but many would of course feel that things are not moving forward fast enough because there are lots of scars and gaps to fill in.
Yes, that's the same in Taiwan, the same situation. And
exactly.
Yeah, I would like to know that does the government, how governments like protect the rights of Sami people, like regarding the hunting rights or the land rights?
Well, first of all, those are protected through legislation, and those legislation has been through a long process to where they are today. And we also had a few court decisions lately that have caused some debate and controversy. First of all, I will mention the Fosen decision. That was a conflict between reindeer herders in the South Sami area and windmills or power companies that have put up windmills. And the Sami claimed that these were were put up not according to the law, and they took the case to all the way up to the High Court and won. That's 1.5 years ago. But still, after winning it, the decision hasn't been followed up. So that had made a lot of controversy. And in March, there was a big protest in Oslo, the capital of Norway, that gained the whole nation's attention. That the Sami youth, they wouldn't accept that the court decision wasn't followed up. So that's one example of that Sami rights have been strengthened through legislation, but they continue to be debated. And we also have a few other cases going on that Sami communities have claimed that they are the rightful owners of their community lands, and those have not yet reached the High Court decision, but they are causing a lot of debate.
There's a lot of things that needs to be done still, and what it means to have Sami people's media. I mean, what's the importance of the Nake Sami to the Sami people?
I think it's really important to have their own media. So for any people in the world, that their people, their culture, their language is recognized, and that we can share our own stories on our own terms. As I started with it, NRK Sápmi was established in 1946, only 1 year after World War II, when our lands were burnt and people had very little, but still they gave priority to building radio content. Then it was about Christian content. But it was important for people to have content in their own language, and that symbolizes to me that it is important. And nowadays, I would say that one of our most important tasks is to provide children with content that they wanna use, that they wanna select, that is as good as any other content that they will find on all the players in the world. So that is one of the most important things that we do, to give them the strength and feel that their language is as important as any other language in the world.
And I wonder how non-Sami people looks or what's their thoughts to the Anake Sápmi?
Well, I believe that they're increasingly positive, and our measurements also show that people are more and more positive to NRK Sápmi. It is important to build a bridge between the majority and the Sami people, so that people have more insight and know more about the Sami people, and that in order for them to respect the culture properly.
In the future, as the member of WITBN, what is your prospects or what is your plan towards the future, like collaborating with the other member?
Yeah, we are really happy to be a part of the WITBN family because we have so many similarities.
Yes.
Recently, we have. I must admit that WITBN has been down for some time, and we needed to take some action into rebuilding the network again. That means that we need to get to know each other again because we've been apart for a while due to, for instance, COVID. And but I believe that we in the future we will do a lot of exchanges of content. My opinion, exchange of knowledge and is also extremely important. And there could also be, I know that some members are talking about staff exchanges so that we would really get to know each other well. So there's a lot of potential, but we need to take one step at a time.
Yes.
We haven't come very far. But we are planning on making an online master class that we can share amongst the members.
So if we would like to do the content exchange, what program that you want to exchange?
Well, I'm not in a position where I'm into much details, but I learned here that there are many programs that we could exchange. I know that Maori are interested in the course, the series we talked about before the break, for instance. And I saw that both them and you have content that could be of interest for us.
And as the CEO of NRK Sápmi, what is your strategy to fight against mainstream media like Netflix or HBO? So how do you what strategy that you use to fight against those media platforms?
We need to be better.
We need to be better.
We need to have content that holds a high quality. We need to respect that the Sami, especially the youth, they expect that we are as good as Netflix and HBO, and I believe we can. Why shouldn't we? We have many advantages that they don't have, and I also believe that we have so many stories that need to be told and that are good, and I think that they will be best told by us. So I'm positive we're going to win this competition.
Yes, it's thank you for sharing today. Yeah, and we learned a lot from your sharing. And we also hope that there will be more collaboration within the member of WITBN and also NRK Sápmi with the TITV. Okay, so thank you so much.
Thank you, an honor to be here.
Thank you.
你曾经对一件事情抱着先做再说的决心吗？我们